Hi everyone, welcome back to Comic Book Corner. I'm Dan De La Torre. Thanks for joining us this evening. A couple of things today. I wanted to give a quick review of sorts to the Spider-Man movie, which I had seen yesterday. Now, I'm not going to do an entire review. Someone who did a fantastic job reviewing that was Ryan from Automatic Comics. Shout out to Ryan. Sub up to his channel. He did a review a day or so ago. It was totally spot on. And I can't add to that regarding his assessment of the movie. I loved the movie. I thought it was the best of the Tom Holland movies. I wasn't the biggest fan of Tom Holland when he was first named. And I forget the other one before him. Tobey Maguire was still my Spider-Man. He reminded me of the Stan Lee version of it. A nerdy kid who was shy, couldn't talk to girls and that kind of thing. These other two aren't that much. But this movie, I've finally been won over by the entire cast, including Tom Holland. I thought it was beautiful. I got teary-eyed a number of times. Part of it was because of the story, and two, that I have such a love for the character like we all do. So this really, really hit home with me. But instead of reviewing what, again, Ryan, check his assessment out, which is very much dovetails with mine, I just wanted to add a few aspects to it that he didn't want to talk about. And I don't think I'm going to give any spoiler alerts. I'm not going to really spoil the movie or talk about the aspects of the movie. I want to talk about what we have been talking about is the comic book aspect of the movie, if you want to buy comics related to it. The sad reality is we are still very much tied to the MCU. If Kevin Feige or somebody from the MCU or anyone associated with Sony or Paramount or whatever makes even a hint that someone's going to play a role or someone's going to appear, that comic or comics or series just goes up in value, and it shouldn't have. I mean, who doesn't remember or forget rather when a certain actress or a musician, I don't want to say her name, was said to be playing Dazzler in an upcoming movie. Well, that never happened. Well, X-Men 130, and I was on the market for X-Men 130. I was trying to get my Chris Claremont run back together, and that was one of the ones I needed, didn't have it. And it skyrocketed, almost more than doubled in price. And how many people lost money? Did you lose money on spec? This is why I don't give advice for this kind of thing, because unless you do the flipping and you have to be in tune with the market and move very quickly, I'm just not interested. And I don't like the fact that people have lost hundreds or thousands of dollars because they spec'd on something that either didn't happen or flopped. You know, you're running a risk. That's, again, I'm not an investment guy for that and other reasons. But there are, if you've seen the trailer, so I'm not spoiling this here, the movie does start with those cameos. And the ones you've already seen before of like Tarantula as he's sliding down the side of I guess it's a ship, and his blades from his shoes are cutting into that. That was a 10-second video. The Scorpion played a very prominent role in that. So if you wanted AF-15 Amazing Fantasy 20 first appearance of Scorpion like I did, you can't get it now unless you want to pay a hard premium for it, which I don't want to do. And all the Tarantula books that you had, those have, I'm certain, have skyrocketed. You're going to have to wait at least a year, I'm sorry to say, before they taper back down again as people forget about it. Or if you had things like this here. I've got Amazing Spider-Man number 119, Spider-Man versus the Hulk. I'm not spoiling anything either, but they square off against each other. So if you already have books like this, well, great. But if you wanted to buy this, I'm certain the price has gone up at least 25-50%. Who wants to pay more? And this is where I hoped to help you and the community regarding, making smart purchases. But don't worry about that, because there are so many other books out there that you can get your hands on. So let's just profile a few others. I had worked on some of the heavy hitters the last couple of episodes, and I'm just going to throw some out here, the ones that really have grabbed me, brought my attention, I just love them, and we'll start right here. The Fantastic Four, I mentioned issue 320, the Thing versus Hulk. That's a wonderful, wonderful story. Another one that I just bought it because the cover was gorgeous, and the story was fabulous. But this was also a cover by a great, great story. And John Byrne, who he's a bit of an odd character, but damn talented. When he produced this Fantastic Four number 243, Galactus versus everybody. I mean, who does not love this cover? I bought several of them. In fact, I have a 9.6 white pages. I'd get a 9.8 if I could afford one. And again, nobody's looking at it. I probably should take a look at this here. But this was a Dynamite story. You can't go wrong with this. And raw copies, you can find these for a very reasonable price. Mentioned the Ghost Rider in an episode or two, and I told you he became more bestial. There was, what was it? Does I still have it here? I thought I still had it here. I wasn't that organized. I hate when I'm not organized, you know. Go to the trouble of trying to get everything ready. Here it is right here. This is the one I did show you. Marvel 2-in-1 number 8. Great, great cover. And again, this is a great story early in the Ghost Rider's life. And then he gets more satanic, more bestial in issue number 80. Again, the change of that particular character. And that's the thing I love about most writers, including Marvel, where they have their characters grow, either favorably or unfavorably. In this case, this is Johnny Blaze dealing with, the likes of hell. I mean, you can only imagine what that character has to go through in his life. Speaking of characters that are underrated, the Asgardians. The Asgardians are, I don't think are being portrayed very well in the Thor movies. What is it, Takiti? The director? He was horrible. He was horrible at these sort of things. And there's so much to Asgard that needs to be explored, including the Valkyrie. This is the Brunhilde Valkyrie from Marvel 2-in-1 number 7. Love this cover. And she is a powerhouse, badly underrated. And so same with the Executioner. The Executioner and the Enchantress, who were first appeared in Journey into Mystery number 103. Another book to get, because nobody's talking about it. A little more of a pricey book, but worth it. But stories like this are just underrated. You may never have seen this cover before. Good story, and of course you've got good old-fashioned Ben Grimm, who's in the middle of this whole thing. But these are fun stories you can get for not a lot of money. Another series, and we talked about Powerhouses again. This is a great battle between these two powerhouses, and that's Silver Surfer number 12, with the Surfer going against the Abomination. The Abomination, as I said at the last episode, badly underrated, unbelievably powerful. And he has gone through a number of changes that, you kind of feel bad for them. I know they're just comic characters, but at the height of it, when he was first created, far more powerful than the Hulk. Scary powerful, as I indicated. Then his power was cut in half for whatever reason. And then he had his mind taken over by Tyrannus from Hulk number 5. So that character has gone through the ringer, no question about it. But this is a good classic here in the Surfer, and users can't beat any of the Surfer characters. I had mentioned this story here. I told you I'd buy multiple copies, Hulk 122. And the only reason I bring this up is because, again, I got this one. This is a British pence variance. It's what do you call it? I forget what they call it. But you can see there's no cents in it. It's half pence or whatever. And the quick story is that when you buy and sell, or if you buy and you get from eBay or whatever, or a person, how they pack it is interesting. This was all the way from the UK, and it showed up in a manila envelope. No bubble wrap, no packing whatsoever, and it survived. No damage to it. The guy was lucky as anything. And I'm pretty easygoing, but I wrote back to him saying, "You ever heard of bubble wrap?" Really? I mean, it was just stunning. And I left him a comment on there because you don't want people to screw these things up. I paid money. I would have been heartbroken had it been, damaged, but it wasn't. It did show up. Now that the Fantastic Four movie is here, and Galactus is in the MCU, he will be back, by the way. He has to. What a horrible mistake if the MCU does not bring him back, and also other heralds. Now, we didn't get the Silver Surfer. Are we going to get the Surfer? I don't know. A lot of it hinges on what happens with the new Avengers Endgame. Doomsday movie that's coming out here. But now's a good time, as I keep saying, when nobody's looking, look for issues like this. First appearance of Airwalker. Nice 20-cent Silver Age. Sith, you watching? This is a Silver Age book here. First appearance of one of his heralds, Airwalker. I don't think it's all that expensive, and this isn't expensive either. First appearance of Firelord. Another herald of Galactus. He had a number of heralds. I have all the silver, bronze, and copper age heralds of Galactus, just because I wanted them. Oh, by the way, I renamed the channel the SBC Network because, again, there's another gentleman who has Dan's Comic Corner. I think it's a fine channel. I don't know anything about him or his channel. But SBC stands for Silver, Bronze, Copper Age because that's my wheelhouse. So just little house cleaning here. Looking through my comics here, I didn't even know I had this particular book here. One other aspect to this Spider-Man movie was, and Ryan points out in his video, the Punisher. The interaction with those two, with Punisher and Spider-Man, is hilarious and heartwarming. It really is. It shows, despite the tragedy, pardon me, that this character went through, he still has a heart. And that's what we love about, Frank Castle. And I found this, I don't even know anything. I didn't know I had this book here. It's, what is it? The Punisher Summer Special, issue number 2. Kind of a cool cover. It's not in great shape. It's probably a 5. Needs press and all that. But, these are kind of fun things as you're digging through things. You find things unexpectedly. And that's a fair portion of my collection. You're going through bins, or you're going through, if you're at a garage sale and you happen to see something. I don't hunt that much in the wild. Maybe you do. And if you do, let me know what you found. I found a couple in the wild here. The Doctor Strange movie, they're saying it's about 3 years away. I don't know what they're dragging their feet on, or if they're going to cancel it like they canceled the Wonder Man series. If you watch the Wonder Man series, which is still on Netflix, great series. Ben Kingsley was just dynamite. I mean, it was very cerebral if you had to appreciate acting and all that. But to cancel that, what a waste. That's too bad. And the Doctor Strange movie, they're dragging their feet on this. I think you could find this if you look, and again, now that nobody's looking, how about Strange Tales number 126? First appearance of Dormammu and the first appearance of Clea. Now, back in these days here, the Fantastic Four they were the top selling comic at the time. So they get most of the billing on these early Silver Age books, and they gave Doctor Strange a little, small bracket to, portray what he's going to do here. But first appearance of Clea, and the first appearance of Dormammu, and who is this? The Mad Thinker, and what is that? Oh, the Puppet Master on this one here. These were, along with Tales to Astonish and Strange Tales, they split comics in two. The front, one story's in the front, the other story's in the back, to save money, time. It was a smart way to do it, because again, they were a company on a budget in a big way. I'll just throw out a few more here. I've been specking on this book for the longest time, and it never went anywhere. And damn it, I should have got a 9, and I probably still could, because in the MCU, in Marvel, in comics, there has to be a Captain America. There has to be an Iron Man. There has to be a Thor. And they've had different incarnations over the years. Well, now that there is no Iron Man, the logical choice, and I've said this for years, is James Rhodes. Not, who is it, the younger gal that was there? Oh, Riri Williams. They were saying she's going to be the new Iron Man. No, she doesn't have the chops for it. She's a child. You want someone who is mature, someone who understands the armor, who understands Tony Stark and all that. And that's James Rhodes. Iron Man 170, first appearance of James Rhodes, first full appearance of him donning the armor. It was a new series and a different take on someone else running the armor, which I loved. I think this was a fabulous idea. And this run goes on for, 20 issues or so, but it starts right here. No one's picked up on this. And again, the MCU is making terrible mistakes because in some ways they have the wrong people at the helm. I won't open the bags. You guys have seen this already. A show that is coming in October, and that is the Vision series. Now, from what little I've seen, I haven't looked in a while, but the Vision character hasn't gone up in value that much. And I've showed this before. This is an EGS Avengers 57, first appearance of the Vision. And this has really, really come down in price. You can get these for like $20. First White Vision, which, this skyrocketed to like $150, but it's down substantially, and it's still down. I looked this morning here, and people knock on this particular book. I don't. I would consider that. And again, I'm not telling you to spec on. I'm just saying get it while you can, while it is inexpensive. Speaking of West Coast Avengers, another aspect without spoiling the Spider-Man movie was, what's her name? Florence Pugh. Is her name. I think that's how it's pronounced. She's in this movie. And at the end of that other movie, that she and the the Winter Soldier, why it escapes me for whatever reason. But at the end, they become the Avengers. And there's talk about two Avengers teams. I think the logical and obvious conclusion is they're going to do a West Coast Avengers and the standard Avengers on the East Coast. Because remember, when this whole thing started in the 60s, Marvel was in New York City. Everything was based around New York City and the East Coast. West Coast was something they didn't really mention or talk about very rarely until maybe the Bronze, certainly the Copper Age, when they started to expand. And also because Stanley had moved to Los Angeles in the 80s to expand, his company. Started the animated series, which later became the MCU. And then they started talking about the rest of the country. But West Coast Avengers is probably something you might want to consider while they're not talking about it. You've got less than 6 months before. If they do include the West Coast Avengers with the Avengers Doomsday movie scheduled for December, you've got a few months to make that purchase if you want it or not. Let's just go through a couple more here. I'll just end on these two here. The Hulk is still out there. Now, whether they're going to keep the current actor or not, I don't know. But there are so many Hulk stories, and they're all fabulous here. This is one of my favorites. This is a Steve Englehart story, Herb Trimp cover. This is Hulk number 168, the first appearance of the Harpy. And got the 60s and early 70s were in the 160s and early 170s. Hulks were just fabulous. Herb Trimp was dynamite. The stories were fabulous. This is one of them, and I always loved this story here. And this is her first appearance. Again, it was a very, very different type of series, and I'd always loved it. These aren't terribly expensive, but they just present beautifully well, and they got a nice 8.0 white pages of this one. Let's end on this one here. I'll pick this up where I left off here. Again, with the Avengers Doomsday, you've got a whole cast of characters, and I don't know what direction they're going to go into, who they're going to profile more than others. But I think one character that's going to be profiled, at least given some screen time, will be the Submariner. I think that could go in a different direction, and if it is, we'll see. But one cover I'd always loved, because he was always in that Speedo, because that's what he was created back in Famous Funnies #1 back in 1939, and but then this costume shows up here, and I always loved this series. And this is again Reed Richards' help, because he had some issues absorbing water and so forth. And that's Submariner number 67. I'd always loved that costume. I still do. I hope he's transferred to this costume. This is a very attractive costume, rather than, again, the green Speedo thing. But this is underrated, 6.5 white pages. I have several raw copies of this. I even have one of those Toy Biz. You get a toy and then there's a comic in the back. I have one of those. Those are kind of hard to get in high grade because, kids open the toy and the first thing they do is destroy the comic. But this is one that I would keep an eye on, just to have it in your collection. And again, it's all, we're at the mercy of what the MCU says, what they do. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that, somebody mentions something and suddenly the speculation goes up and you're priced out of a book. And again, what bothers me the most is how much money people have lost over the many years since this whole spec thing has gone on. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. This is one of the reasons why I'm here, to help you, to show you what I've collected, why I've collected it, and if it appeals to you, that's great. And I will show the ones that are most affordable, the ones you can get. And you never know. That's the whole thing with my whole collection back here. I've had to dig out the ones that are not marked in blue, or just my common stock. But sometimes that common stock becomes a grail or becomes a first key or whatever. Then I have to dig it out and put it in Mylar and the whole thing. And the same with things. If the Submariner is more profiled, you never know what, the value of these books. And once you've got it, because you got it at a cheaper rate than you would if they name it, and the price spikes, you've saved how much money, and it's in your collection. So that's the whole point of doing this. Anyone, let me know what you think of the Spider-Man movie, what you thought about it. And anything that you see here. I've got so many more to choose from, so many more subjects. I'm waiting on a few subjects because I'm waiting on GalaxyCon, which will be later this month. It's August 3rd today. GalaxyCon is at the end of the month. That's the one con I'm going to, and I'm really looking forward to it. And one of the people I want to see is George Takei, because I have Star Trek #1 that I wanted him to sign because William Shatner signed that. And so that will be something that will help complete my run and enhance my collection. Everyone, as always, thank you for joining. For the SBC Network, I'm Dan De La Torre, and this is Comic Book Corner.